The only thing metal elitists love more than metal is loving to hate on successful bands and artists that aren't metal enough. Did that sound confusing? It unfortunately makes sense, as for every successful act in heavy music, there is a group of elitists complaining on Reddit and Facebook about an act not being metal enough. 2 years ago, I made a video about bands that metal elitists hate. That you can find in the video description below to see which bands I listed there. This video is part 2. I list 10 more bands and artists that elitists love to complain about. This is not a top 10, no ranking, just a list. If you know of a band or artist that metal elitists hate, leave a comment why you think they do. Also keep in mind they might have been listed in the first video. Ghost, Baby Metal, Avenged Sevenfold, they're on the first video. This time, I'm adding to that growing list.
This video is sponsored by Manta Sleep. We here at Rocked are proudly pro-nap. The human body is wired to nap, and for good reason. Naps give you energy, focus, strength, and clarity that you don't get when you grind through the afternoon after you wake up at 6 a.m. for work and you're running off coffee and energy drinks. So the Manta Sleep sound mask is perfect for people who want to block out light in comfort while listening to music or white noise. Incredibly comfortable in any position, great sound quality with long battery life, easily recharged through USB-C, total light blackout, and a lifesaver when traveling. I use my mask when I fly now and I'm asleep before takeoff. You can get a 10% discount on this mask and more at Manta Sleep by using the link in the description or using the code ROCKED at checkout. Whether overnight or just a nap, Manta Sleep helps you get the best sleep ever, block out light, and get comfortable with your music with a discount through Rocked.
Thank you for checking this out. You know how these videos work. Let's get to it. Starting out with one of my favorite bands and a group that causes elitist eye rolls all around the world. Slipknot checks so many boxes for a great metal band, but when you put hard descriptions like gimmick or masks or anything that is associated with Slipknot for decades, it's hard for elitists not to rely on those excuses. I do feel metal elitists make excuses for hating Slipknot as well. It's rarely about liking the music or not or arguing if they are metal. It's mostly the same arguments with no merit of a band that wears masks and has more than 4 or 5 members. For some reason, that's just too much computing power required for an elitist brain to handle. Fantastic discography, impressively talented musicians, and one of the most energetic and fun live shows you can imagine. You can also add extremely successful to that list of pros for Slipknot. That last item might be part of the reason why so many elitists are bitter. Slipknot made it big while an elitist favorite extreme industrial Viking metal band did not. Some people don't like the music or don't like every album. That's not an elitist attitude. Some people don't like Slipknot because they are popular, look different, and people enjoy their music. That's a metal elitist loser attitude. Slipknot's dealt with that for years. Pretty sure they thrive on it also. Chester here is a fan of Slipknot, aren't you, buddy? You got something to say? Yes, he is a fan. A band who swelled in popularity in 2022 and grew in followers, streams, and elitist haters by the thousands. Yes, there are that many Bad Omens haters. The majority of that, however, isn't because of their music or performance, it's more what they represent to heavy music and the overall audience they've gained. It was last year, I believe, that bands like Bad Omens were lumped into a very derogatory subgenre classification akin to intercourse metal. I had to type that out because YouTube starts downplaying terms that describe the music of Bad Omens, and I don't want my videos held back any more than they are. YouTube is impossible. TikTok ran with the subgenre classification and Bad Omens benefited, and then it became influencer metal with many ladies and influencers on TikTok dancing to what they called baddiecore. Everything I just said is enough to rile up metal elitists, especially that women like it. Elitists don't like ladies enjoying anything. Bad Omens does not deserve the rampant loathing. People saying they are overrated or got their big break due to social media is one thing, but the true disdain Bad Omens have gotten through their popularity is a bit off-putting. I also think it's a bit of jealousy. Seriously, the lady fan demographic for Bad Omens is huge now. I was told by many people and then discovered myself that Metallica is not the only thrash of the big four that gets hate from elitists. It's wild how much disdain Anthrax has gotten for decades, especially when Anthrax is by far the most harmless band of the big four. But maybe that's why elitists hate them, not angry enough to relate to. Elitists like unbridled anger and rage, and many Anthrax songs are just fun to listen to. That's not good enough for a snob. There's also the issue that Anthrax are in the big four, but other thrash bands like Exodus and Testament aren't. That riles up thrash elitists even more because Anthrax gets the name association. Anthrax made it big off good music, and even with a lot of member changes over the years, Scott Ian and everyone with him kept going and making music for their fans and themselves, and had a cameo on Married with Children. That is an achievement. I still remember in 2017 in Florida, Killswitch Engage and Anthrax were on a co-headline tour. Killswitch closed out the night, and Anthrax played right before. There was a scrawny nerd in a battle vest with his back turned and arms folded the entire Anthrax set just to make a statement. these losers really exist in the wild. Being an artist who started their career on YouTube not through metal and got attention through something besides metal, and then entering the metal world and being the first solo female artist to get nominated for a Grammy is only some of the reasons metal elitists hate Poppy. And I feel Poppy is skipping along laughing about it. I'm a Poppy fan and have been for years, and through all the style blending and at times abrupt changes between screaming and singing even within the same song, Poppy is still more metal than most metal elitists. She's also racking up endless collaborations with other heavy bands, so that riles up elitists even more. Being a model and having your own backing band while you perform a genre-fused combination of metal songs alongside softer songs is metal heresy to some. Also worth pointing out a previous point of metal elitists not liking women, or thinking women can't play metal. Yep, that's a thing. Poppy is a unique act, no denying it. Poppy is also a talented performer, creative writer, and understands how to market and make a brand. She's performing in arenas, while metal elitists hate her for not starting out in gross dive bars in the Midwest. Thank God she didn't also, those places are disgusting. A fast way to get multiple subgenres worth of fans to hate you is represent two of them and not in the way elitist fans want. Deafheaven get lumped into black metal and shoegaze, death-curdling screams and serene guitar and bass, with plenty of time for instrumentals. That's just unacceptable to some elitist losers. After Sunbather hit, I think the Deafheaven hate train left from the station, and there was no stopping it over the years. George Clark would incorporate regular singing as well over time, and black metal fans do not want Deafheaven representing them, and that's too bad because Deafheaven get a lot of respect outside of black metal. Sunbather, Ordinary Corrupt Human Love, even Infinite Granite, which I feel many people slept on, they all showcase what Deafheaven is about, not how they've evolved while still keeping quality, and why elitists hate change or anything that doesn't sound like true cult. I like Deafheaven. I think the elitist hate towards Deafheaven is wildly overblown for the sake of just to impress other elitist weirdos online. And finally, a band is allowed to make changes over time. Man, me just saying that out loud probably caused people to hit the dislike button. Please hit the like button right now to counter all the elitist dislikes. Thank you. This one still baffles me, but once I did research and saw it with my own eyes, I realized that metal elitists hate Trivium. It's mostly for really petty, insignificant reasons, but whatever dumb reasons elitists hate Trivium for, they have held onto for years. How in the world are you gonna hate on Kichi Chaos? That's terrible. Matt Heffy said over the years that they got big hate from metal fans and long-running bands for years when Trivium broke out of Florida like a rocket and started going on massive tours around the world. From established Big Four acts to snobbish fans who didn't think the Trivium baby faces could hang, Trivium got hate from elitists. It's worth pointing out that musicians, especially established musicians in metal bands, can also be elitist and snobby and stuck up. That standoffish attitude exists backstage and on the road, so Trivium got it from every angle. Many elitists didn't give Trivium a shot back in the day for being the young band that wasn't tough enough. Trivium sometimes still gets it because of antiquated attitudes towards their music, and I feel the music has been stellar over the last few albums. Trivium sounds great live, are consistent, but elitists did not like how fast they rose early on. There's no pleasing them. You hear that? That's the sound that elitists have started to hate over the last 10 years. The current metalcore scene, due in part to Motionless In White, has caused a lot of metal purists to revolt due to heavy breakdowns led by a bit of blah. Put that with a list of other reasons why Motionless In White has been getting hate for years. Along with the big blahs, a big part of MIW's disdain from elitists is because Chris Motionless and company have played the social media game well and made friends in the process. That's led Motionless In White to becoming influencer core. Every festival Motionless In White performs now features a wall of influencers front and center in the audience, and at the soundboard, and sometimes at the photo pit. So you have the metalcore stigma that many elitists can't stand, you have the attention of influencers and ladies swooning on TikTok, and you go blah while wearing makeup. Elitists will gladly use these reasons to hate you regardless of the music quality. I've seen Motionless In White several times, met over half the band who are super nice, and the group has toured for well over 10 years and won people over the traditional way. That part you'd think would be enough for elitists to lighten up a little bit. Nope. Also, the group performed at this year's WrestleMania, meaning metal elitists and pro wrestling dorks in the IWC hate them. I think that makes me like Motionless In White even more now. Once again, one of the greatest crimes you can make in the eyes of an elitist is to try and change over time. Whether that's sound, speed, band members, or all three, architects have been getting that elitist hate big over the last 5+ years, and when the group also has members stirring the pot, it can make things a bit worse. Go back in time to 2018 when an album dedicated to the late guitarist Tom Searle and all the music before that from the group Architects were seen as a strong metalcore band that represented the subgenre well. Back then, even metal elitists weren't as harsh on them. But as time goes on, elitists will find a way to hate something. Once the band started changing speed and style with some of their music, metal elitists got vicious along with longtime fans going feral for not sticking with the original sound, meaning new elitists were being made toward the group. It got so bad that a fan rushed the stage during a concert and started screaming at the singer that they were dishonoring their fallen member Tom. First, the guy that rushed the stage is a straight up loser. Second, the band stepping out of their comfort zone does not warrant elitist hate from metalcore bands. Chances are some of the best metalcore bands out there were definitely influenced by Architects. Third, it doesn't help when you have a band member retweeting some very derogatory and inflammatory things. The less I say about that, the better. The Nickelback of metal, or at least that's what's been said roughly 1 million times online. Black Veil Brides definitely have a niche and demographic within heavy music, and I think the visuals of the pretty boys in Black Veil Brides, mainly model Andy Black, paired with fans who are beyond diehard, makes elitists enraged. I'm not a fan of Black Veil Brides music, but even I can see that the group is not worth the absolute vile animosity that gets thrown at them. They are mostly harmless, and the albums serve their specific audience. The most common tropes about the band are that they're not metal enough, and they came straight from Hot Topic. Black Veil Brides have been around for a while now. Even if I get some of the complaints for being repetitive or not enjoying the same single over and over again, calling them the Nickelback of metal is not the most insulting thing you can say, considering Nickelback are bajillionaires. Nickelback manipulated a formula and made $1 billion writing about nothing. Black Veil Brides used a formula, but at least they write about characters and a setting and fitting a gimmick with it. That's more creativity than Nickelback. Yes, both singers do sound the same though, I cannot argue that. So to metal elitists, it's Chad Kroeger and Hot Topic singing to high school kids. Sounds like a bad SNL sketch. Not enough to really warrant metal elitist hate. Behold, the new band every metal elitist has sworn a vendetta against. I don't care how old or young, preference of genre or subgenre does not matter. If you are an elitist dork, you hate Sleep Token. The amount of complaints toward Vessel and Company have reached astronomical amounts, and it's not going away. Shame too, because I think Sleep Token is great and offers something different, has multi-talented musicians, and one of the best bands I've seen and heard live in a long time. Everything I just said though does not matter because elitists think Sleep Token is not heavy enough, and all of this matters because if you're not completely heavy all the time, you're not metal. That's a cardinal sin to elitist dorks. Add an anonymous gimmick and then tons of popularity on social media, and you have an avalanche of hate from nerds who prefer only garbage disposal levels of heavy at all time, and probably refuse to wear deodorant or clean underwear. Yeah, I'm saying it right now, metal elitists smell. Everyone knows what they smell like too. Sleep Token has gotten the fastest hate from elitists over the last 2 years. Big part of that due to the sudden popularity. All the reasons I've listed though should not sway people from at least trying Sleep Token, and especially seeing Sleep Token live. If you don't like it after that, fine, but still worth your attention to hear Vessel croon a little bit. I stand by that a big part of metal and heavy music in general not being as popular anymore is due to all the complaining about bands not being heavy enough. That's happening mostly online behind the safety of a keyboard behind the moniker Brutal Death Raven 333 or something else lame. I also stand by that it's okay to not like a band or artist because you're not a fan of their music, but be able to explain why. If you respond to not liking one of the bands I just talked about because they aren't metal, then you are absolutely part of the problem. You're probably not great at debate either, or at job interviews. Why should I hire you? Because I'm more metal than the posers who currently work for you.